Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Poduska, star maker for entrepreneurs who want to unlock their potential, command any stage, and make blockbuster profits. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a brand that makes you happy and profitable. Here we go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Poduska, personal brand strategist for entrepreneurs who are ready to make their mark and make their money. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a more abundant life and business. Today, we're taking a slight break from our series on art and entrepreneurship to bring you my special guest, Lissette Carter. Lissette Carter is a serial entrepreneur who began her entrepreneurial journey while she was still in college. She was on a softball scholarship and got this opportunity to learn how to teach entrepreneurs leadership and business skills. And that was the beginning. And from there, she went on to train entrepreneurs all over the United States and Puerto Rico. Lissette is also the co-owner of a real estate investment company with her husband. And today we talk about what it's like to be in business with your spouse, what it's like to have another entrepreneur as your partner. And that also led Lissette to write two books, one of which is Rookie Mommy and the other is Rookie Wifey. And we talk about what it's like to be an entrepreneur and being a mom, and what led Lissette to write this second book of Rookie Wifey and the challenges that women face when they're entering marriage. And she wanted to give a book on tips and strategies to have a really positive experience with that. And this is her story. This is her journey. As you'll hear in the interview today, Lissette talks about being a Christian and her faith. And I just wanted to say, whether you are a Christian, a Buddhist, a Hindu, an atheist, a lot of the things that Lissette talks about applies across the board. One of the things that we talked about was the importance of following purpose and following that inner voice when it tells you to do something, to act on it, and whether you think that voice comes from your own brain, from your subconscious, or from a higher source. It doesn't matter. It's following that intuitive impulse. And we talked about the importance of that. Lissette also talks about what are some of the really important things that entrepreneurs need to take it to the next level, how you need to curate your resources and manage yourself, manage your time, and also really adjust your mindset from that of being an employee to being an owner. So Lissette had so many great tips, not only about entrepreneurship, but about being in a marriage with someone who you are also in business with, being a mom, being a wife. And we also talked about being an author. Why do you write a book? How do you fund your book? How do you monetize your book? When is the right time to write a book? And why are you going to do it? So there's a lot of great stuff in this interview. I know you're going to love Lissette. She's very, very knowledgeable. And if you are somebody who does want to take your business and your brand to the next level, if you are somebody who wants to understand how to position yourself as an industry leader so people see you as a high value expert, I would love to talk to you. You can schedule complimentary consultation with me by going to my consult link, which is at bit.ly/brandstarconsult. That's bit.ly/brand with a capital B, star with a capital S, and consult with a capital C. And we can talk about how you can become a superstar in your industry. Okay, I hope you enjoy this episode of Thrive. Hi, I'm Heather Poduska, brand and business strategist to entrepreneurs who are ready to make their mark and make their money. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a more abundant life and business. You are in for high-value content coming to you from industry leaders who are growing their business, making an impact, and rocking their brands. Nobody thought my guest, Lissette Carter, would amount to anything after she dropped out of college without a degree. Boy, did she prove them wrong. Lissette went on to train entrepreneurs all over the United States and Puerto Rico, co-own a real estate investment company, and found a personal development company. Lissette is the author of the popular book Rookie Mommy and her newest book, Rookie Wifey. Today, Lissette's mission is to equip women to get victory over their thoughts so they can win at life and at business. Welcome, Lissette. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Wow. So reading your intro, business after business after business, how did you get to the place where you were excited about being what looks like a serial entrepreneur of creating things over and over again?
Well, really, I had to take a look at what my purpose was. What I really want to do is just create more assets for my family. I didn't want the active income, which is probably why I stepped away from school, stepped away from college, was because I saw what people were doing before me. Everybody only knew get a job, get a good education, get a job, and then work for 40 or 50 years. And then I realized that's not something that I really wanted to do. What I really wanted to do was just create something once and have it create more income over and over again. So that is my husband and I, that's our goal right now, is just to continue to create assets while also incorporating our purpose.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about the training. And you trained entrepreneurs all over the country. What kind of a training was that? And how did you guys get into that?
When I got into it, I actually received a phone call from somebody in Maryland who was training entrepreneurs full time. And he had asked me if I was looking just to kind of create additional income, but essentially I ended up understanding and training under him as well. He was kind of a mentor for me. And so I picked it up right away, took it on part-time, and then remotely trained entrepreneurs for him in Puerto Rico while I was in school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So while you were still in college?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was still in college. I was actually on an athletic scholarship for softball. Nice. Because really, I majored in softball. I didn't really major in, I went to school for nursing, but I didn't really care much for that. I just went because I just had the softball scholarship. And so when I had done that for a year, and I just kind of felt like that was something that I was supposed to do full time. I knew that I had some kind of purpose in it. And I remember sitting outside of my balcony and just thinking and praying, like, is this the right direction? Should I finish school? Should I not finish school? And I remember kind of feel like, when your spirit knows that you're supposed to do something, you hear a word, I know it's from God. And he said, move to Boston. And I said, I'm moving to Boston. And so a lot of people weren't for that. But the moment that I moved to Boston, I trained and learned people skills, personalities, wiring, developing how to understand how people are wired for personal development. And then I also learned the business side of that, which is how to take the business, how to go from employee mindset to business owner mindset. So within that, I learned leadership, all of the things that go with that, and then just teaching people that don't know about it from the fresh employee mindset onto whatever it is that they wanted to accomplish.
So what do you think the biggest differences are between the employee mindset and the entrepreneurial mindset that people have to shift?
Well, employee mindset, you're working for somebody else at the end of the day. You're not really operating in your gifts. You're not really operating in your strengths. You're really just exchanging your time for your money. And so when people go to work, at some point they go, unless they're making it a career, they're making it more of a robotic, they're on autopilot. And a lot of people, I find that especially when they come out of school, they're not operating or they're not working with the degree that they had. They're going into something else, which blows my mind with the amount of money that they actually spend or owe when they're coming out of school going into something else. And so I was really responsible for teaching people, okay, this is what you know now, but the entrepreneurial mindset, you really have to do, you really have to take into account your time. And understand that if you want to be successful in business, you do have to take the time to grow and to build yourself and educate yourself in whatever it is that you need. And so that could be somebody that maybe wants to start a clothing business or someone that wants to start an online business. And knowing the business understanding of that is key, but also the mindset that goes behind it. So you've got to be careful. You have to be very careful of your time. You do have to manage yourself more than a manager manages you, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
So it's more of a I don't want to say self-awareness, but you do have to be on top of yourself when it comes to creating better habits, such as reading the books that you need every single month in order to grow yourself personally, listening to specific audios that are going to improve yourself and improve whatever career that you want to take on. And then association was huge, because if you're associating yourself with people that have that kind of drive and that mindset that you're looking for. I like to think of it as I'm going to associate myself with people that are a little bit wiser than me and a couple of steps more ahead of me, because I'm always going to learn something from that. And so I always say, if I can take a look at what you're reading and who you're associating with, and I can tell you where you're going to be in 5 years.
Wow.
So if that association and that mindset is not, that is imperative as you're training to be an entrepreneur. They're very different mindsets, business mindset and employee mindset.
It's so interesting. I was at the Massachusetts Women's Conference last week, and there was a productivity expert, and he had a quote that was, I've never seen someone successfully and consistently change a positive habit in a negative environment.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's so important to have that. So how did you go about finding the right books and finding the right mentors? And how did, if for someone who's kind of looking for that, where can they start, in your opinion, to amass the things that will get them where they want to go in 5 years?
Well, as you're associating with the people that you're seeking out, asking them, what did you read to refine your social media skills or your people skills? Or, I seem to be having trouble trying to talk to people or getting out of my comfort zone. And asking the people that you seek out what they're reading and what they're listening to can really start building your library. I actually specialize in creating customized curriculums for people. I get to know where they are,
that's cool,
who they are, and then I customize a base foundational curriculum around that'll help them build their careers or their personal development mindset. That's
really cool. I haven't heard of that before. That's really cool. So what are you reading right now for your next level?
I'm actually reading The Love Dare. It's part of a book of the month. I'm part of a coaching program with Jasmine Womack, and they have a book of the month for all of the ladies there, and which really does go hand in hand with the Rookie Wifey. And so that's really blowing my mind, because I don't know if you've ever seen Fireproof.
No.
It's a movie about marriages. Oh. Yeah, and they base the movie off of the book The Love Dare. And so I'm just trying to stay consistent and keep my mind sharp when it comes to the relationship and marriage aspect of what I'm doing, because I'm a coach. I need to be. So I'm trying to stay within that mindset. I'm also reading The Art of Dealing with People, because I'm type A, and sometimes I'm a little too bold or I'm a little too direct with people. So I have to keep in mind, I actually read that book every 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, because I have to stay sharp, because sometimes I'm just like, you know what? We just don't see eye to eye. You're stupid. And unfortunately, you can't really, you need people in order to succeed, and you can't think that way. So I have to constantly remind myself people skills in order to get better at what I'm doing.
Yeah, and it's so important to be aware of who's in front of you. And if your style is very bold and extroverted, it might be overwhelming to that person. Or if you're too soft and that person needs, something to push against, then you might come across as weaker than you actually are. So that's really awesome. I love that. So you've done obviously you've done the work, you put in the time, you're reading the books, you've got the mentors, you're building these businesses, and now you're writing books about being a wifey.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? And tell us what that is and how that came to be.
Well, my husband and I, after training entrepreneurs for about 10 years, my goal was to be a stay-at-home mom. And so we were able to do that with real estate investing. So we studied for a year real estate investing, and then we started investing into properties. And my husband, he's a contractor. He builds. He's a contractor. And so we just bought dumps and we fixed them up, and then we were able to replace my income so that I could be a stay-at-home mom. And then I got pregnant. And so I was fortunate enough to be at home while I was pregnant, because my husband said, I don't want you to have any stress when you're pregnant. I want this to be a smooth thing. And so during that time, I remember reading pregnancy books and being like, they were all very good, very objective, medically driven, but I just felt like there was something that was lacking in the space that was like a hug. I just wanted somebody to hug me and to understand and to help me through some of the mentality that goes with pregnancy. I mean, you can get a little crazy during that time.
Well, especially if you're at home alone and you're,
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So I wanted to write something that was going to be a practical guidebook, but also on the flip side, be something that could really tug on the heartstrings of other women. That It's okay. You are going to be a good mom. Because that was one of my biggest fears, was because of all of the things that I had gone through in my life, I feared that I was going to be a horrible mom. And so I didn't want the things that I went through to be passed on to my child. And so I was that was one of the things that really was close to my heart. And so I wanted to write something that did combine both the practical and the heart. And that's where that came about. And I wanted to create more assets. And a book was one of them.
So can you talk a little, I think almost anybody who's going to be a parent has the fear, am I going to be a good parent?
Yeah.
Am I going to make mistakes? Or how can I bring forward the things from my history that are useful and maybe leave things behind that I didn't find helpful? How would you say that to somebody in that path of knowing what to bring and what to let go?
Well, there needs to be a lot of healing. I feel like that a lot of women need to really come to to just get rid of those fears. And so for me, I actually had gone to counseling for a little while because I had gone through molestation and physical abuse and stuff like that throughout my life. And so those are things that really they can't be ignored, because people will tend to fill those voids or that breakage in their life with other things that just won't help. And for me, that was Jesus. That was God. That was the healing point for me. And thank God my counselor was a Christian, and he was able to help me through those things where I didn't have to go back to therapy afterwards. Whereas I saw my other friends that did go to therapy, they did have to continue to go back. And so that for me was that was it for me. As soon as I had gotten that healing in my life for me personally, then I realized that my daughter doesn't have to carry on that cycle. There's generational cycles that happen throughout your life. If I look at my parents, my grandparents, my great grandparents, there are cycles that I've seen, like depression or anxiety or even physical things that have happened to them, like medical.
Yeah.
And that gets passed down from generation to generation. I call them generational curses, but it can end with us. The moment that we realize that there's healing in those things, our offspring does not have to deal with them.
Yeah, and I think you found what you found in your Christianity that you found great solace in, and other people, there are lots of other modalities that people can pursue for healing. And I think what you said is so important, is to address it and not sweep it under the rug. And I think that's true of things that pass down. When you feel something physically or emotionally, it gets in your cells. Yeah. Like if someone shouts at you, you recoil and you tense up. So you have muscle memory of that trauma. Right. And you pass, and I think that it is possible to pass that trauma down, whatever it is, generationally. But like you said, I think that it's possible to heal it as well if you make that decision. But bravo for you to have that mindset of, I don't want to pass. Like it stops here and doesn't go forward. Right. That's really incredible.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So the rookie wife, the rookie mommy came first. And you did it backwards, rookie mommy, then rookie wifey. Most usually it's first comes love, then comes marriage. So how did you then shift to rookie wifey, and why did that book come along?
Well, I knew that there really needed to be a marriage book for my generation. I've read so many relationship books when I was coaching and training entrepreneurs, because some of them work together as husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend. So I had to stay sharp in how to work together. And also my husband and I, we met each other through that program. So we had to learn how to work together, not only as a couple, but also as partners in business. And so I knew that at some point I was going to have to write a marriage book, but the timing was just never there. And last year, I remember just kind of praying and God being like, it's time, go. I said, okay. And I just buckled down and did the work, and I interviewed a lot of people and I did a lot of research. And what I was starting to see, but prior to writing the book, I was actually starting to see people that were my age that were getting remarried, or they were going through divorce or some kind of infidelity. And I said, and they believe that marriage was invented by the state of Massachusetts, or that it's great for tax purposes. And I'm like, I don't think that's what marriage was rooted in. That's not the foundational principle of marriage. So let's get back to who invented marriage, and let's figure out what's original intent was.
So what kinds of things, I know we were chatting before we came out that you've had a really big response. What have been some of the key pieces that have really resonated with people? Like you said, wow, I knew people needed this, but to get the response has been really exciting and a little bit overwhelming, like that there's so much need for this. So what have been sort of the common threads that you've had people say, wow, this really spoke to me?
Well, one of them was baggage. People didn't know that they were having baggage coming into the marriage. That's something that, when marriage is a mirror. So when your husband points out some of the baggage that you've brought into the marriage from your past, that's a huge one. Another is finance. A lot of women have issues merging their finances together with their husbands. They want to be in control all the time. That was a big one.
Talk to me a little bit about what it is like to own businesses with your partner.
It is challenging. I mean, not only that, but also being a mom and a wife, because I don't think really people take those two things into account as actual work. So, when being a mom, I know how much work it is. I think parents know how much work it is. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work. And so I think having the benefit of having to had work with him before really does help, because we know when we're in business mode, like he knows when my face, like I tend to have RBF sometimes. And so I like to call that now resting boss face. Because,
I like that. That's good.
Because when I'm in the mode, I'm like, don't bother me, and he knows, and he's like, oh, you're in business mode right now, aren't you? And I'm like, yes. So we have to really figure out, let's talk professionally, and then we can't let the couple thing get in the way of being partners at the end of the day. I mean, my husband, I cannot have done any of this without him, honestly. I mean, I have to give him credit, because he's the one, he works very hard for his family. He's an amazing partner to have business-wise. We work together well with everything, but I attest that all to us working in the beginning together, in the beginning of our marriage, because it's hard enough being married your first year, but also having a business together. It's a whole different ball game.
It's a whole other layer a lot of people can't do that, or wouldn't choose to do that even.
Right.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what would you say to people who are starting out, who are, maybe they're the entrepreneur, maybe it's the woman who's trying to find her voice, and you've done all of these things. How would you help somebody say, this is what you should focus on first? Because they're, I want to write a book. I want to go on a TV show. I want to start a second bit. Like, how would you tell somebody where to focus their energy?
Well, number one, I would say on a business level, wherever is going to bring you the most money. Because a lot of people they want to do different things, but they don't understand that in order to do those different things, you need income. And so a lot of the time I had to focus on the one thing. Like, I used to coach companies, and I had to focus on that for a period of time so that I could fund my books. So there is a strategic way to go about, okay, focus on the one thing that is going to give you some income so that you can do those other things, and also focus on your purpose. Because I feel like a lot of people are afraid to live in their purpose because of other people's opinions. Yeah. But I would be more afraid not to live in God's will than under somebody else's opinion. Because ultimately he made me. He knows the purpose for my life. Why wouldn't I want divine direction from him? He's going to open all of the doors anyway. I just have to work. A lot of people just do a lot of praying and they don't do any work. Yeah. So when I tell people, I said, what is it that you're passionate about? Do that, figure out a way to make some money. And then after you make a good amount of money in that, then slowly start branching into these other things. Yeah. Because you can't really do a lot of things at the same time. You really do have to be focused on one thing. Yeah. I couldn't build the other things that I'm doing and write a book. Right. I had to be laser focused when I wrote my book.
And I think that there's a lot of misconceptions. A book is a great collateral piece, and it opens doors. It gets you on stages. It gets you on television. But it isn't necessarily, especially at the beginning, income and revenue making. You know? So I think it's something like, oh, I want to write a book. Well, why do you want to write a book? What do you think this book is going to do for you? Right. So I think you're really smart about how you did it. And also you aligned it with your belief system and your passions and your personal experience. And whether you're married or have kids or want to write this kind of a book or a religious book or whatever, that having that alignment for who you are and what your vision is for yourself is the way to do it, but being mindful of the income and the revenue.
You really do. I mean, you can't,
Right.
if you have people to take care of, you want to give money away, I mean, you really do have to be mindful of how to monetize everything. You want to write a book, you got to figure out how to monetize it and make some money and create other products. And then go into some of the things that you really want to do.
Right. So you've done so much. You've had all this experience. If people want to find out more about you, about your coaching programs, about Rookie Wifey, Rookie Mommy, how do they find you or anything that you have going on and coming up? Are you
LissetteCarter.com.
Say it again.
LissetteCarter.com.
LissetteCarter.com. That's the hub.
That's the hub. If you'd like to purchase Rookie Wifey, that's on RookieWifey.com. That's an extension of LissetteCarter.com, but it's on there as well.
And are you on social media?
I am. Yep. Instagram at TheLissetteCarter.com. THE, The Lissette Carter. At The Lissette Carter for Instagram, and then on Facebook, author Lissette Carter.
Nice.
That's my business page. I actually do lives all the time.
Oh, great.
Free training, all kinds of stuff.
Great. So LisetteCarter.com and Lissette Carter everywhere. People,
everywhere.
Good branding, girl.
Thank you. It's easy.
The name is the game. The name is the game.
Totally.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here and sharing your beautiful story and your wisdom and your perspective about how, you can build these relationships and how to carve out this career path that's unique, and honor you for listening to that voice that said, now's the time to pivot. Now's the time to write that book. I think we all have that voice. We don't always listen.
Yeah.
So I want to really, give you props for doing that. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Just one last question. What does it mean to you to thrive?
Thrive means to live in your purpose. That's what that means. Without thinking about what anybody else cares, without thinking about, where you could have been, where you should have been, just living now, growing a little bit every single day. That's the thrive right there. Not growing huge, but just growing a little bit every single day. That's where you thrive.
Yeah, I love that. I actually, again, at the women's conference there, I went to see the 2018 marathon winner, Boston Marathon winner. And she said, when she was running the race, how can I make the most of this opportunity? Like this step. Yes. Not the next race, but this step that I'm doing right now. So I love that, what you just said.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Lissette. It was wonderful having you on. And thank you to all of you as well. And as always, until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi, everyone. It's Heather again. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Thrive. Every week, we try to bring you people and information to help you change your life for the better, to grow your business, to expand your thinking, and to open your heart. If you did enjoy this content, I would so appreciate it if you would go to iTunes and review us. Let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. And if you found this information helpful or useful in any way, please share it on out. Let your friends and family know about Thrive. And finally, if you'd like to know more about me, you can visit me at heatherpoduska.com. Until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes.